Good morning, blue collar millionaires. This morning we got Mike Wingard on. He's going to talk about his journey, his businesses, and how he got to where he's at. Mike, good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Good morning to you guys. Beautiful day out here in Charleston, South Carolina. 76 today.
Another
Wow.
Charleston guy.
That's right. I just moved here a
That's a
couple months
loaded.
ago.
That's a loaded city.
It is. I love it.
So
Cool.
you probably know a bunch of people we know down there.
Yep. And it's funny. Chris and I were just talking about, legacy family and the network here. And, you just go out to dinner and you run into people randomly at dinner and you're just like, man, there's some winners in this city. I love it.
Well, dude, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you got you started in entrepreneurship and some of the businesses. I know you've played in multiple businesses at this point, so we want to hear the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on here. I love doing this kind of stuff. And we share a lot of the same interests. And I know, Chris, we did this once before. And it was funny, like when I was talking, you're like, dude, we have this in common. We did that. Like, we have a very, very similar story. So I love it. Well, like, I guess the Cliff Notes version, to take you back a little farther, I went to Penn State and they won the Rose Bowl yesterday. So I had to plug that real quick. And then I graduated and thought I was going to work my way up the corporate ladder. I know a lot of people feel that same way. My dad was senior vice president of a Fortune 500 company. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Started working for Dick's Sporting Goods at their corporate office. And I was like, I don't want any of these jobs up here. I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own thing. You can put me in vice president role. And I don't want that anyway. So I quit my job. I started selling real estate as an agent. And I was like, man, this is another job. Like, all I'm doing is the same thing I was doing. I'm an independent contractor now. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm only getting paid when I produce. And my buddy, he actually became like my mentor, was like, dude, you should just start a cleaning company. There's like nobody in the town that's doing it really good. And like, you have the charisma. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get this thing started. He's like, dude, just like literally go out and get a bucket and a mop and a squeegee, start cleaning the windows. I'm like, it's that easy. Like, I don't have an LLC. He's like, go online and file an LLC and start cleaning windows. And I did that. I started knocking on doors, started making money. And then I turned into, $10K a month. And I'm like, dude, if I could have like a couple guys doing this every day, I could turn this into something. Long story short, 2.5 years later, business was running without me. I was working 5-10 hours a week, just kind of focusing on like the top stuff. I was making about $600,000 a year in revenue, which revenue is a vanity metric. Some of you guys have like $3 million companies left. I had no cost of goods sold. Like, my profit margins were really high. Had a really solid team. I was making, I was taking home $150,000 or whatever. And I was like, there's more to this. There's got to be something bigger than this. I wanted to move down to South Carolina. So I was like, the real test is if my company can run with me in another state. So I moved to South Carolina. The business ran without me for 18 months. I visited it one time, which I don't recommend doing, but it worked. Ended up selling that company, helped start a moving company in Bluffton, South Carolina. It got rated the best moving company in Bluffton year one. Did $400,000 in sales that year. They're going to do about $650,000 this year. I was a limited partner in that. And then most recently just started a lighting company in Charleston with another guy who's in our mastermind group. And in 6 weeks, we made $65,000 hanging Christmas lights. Who would have thought you can make money hanging Christmas lights? So dude, that's what I do.
Tell me how you ramped up your moving company and your Christmas light company in such a short period of time. Like, what was your marketing strategies?
Yeah. So I'm almost embarrassed to say this, dude. It's the simplest things. We were very consistent and we knew what worked. So we knew like we needed to get the residential customer and we knew which areas we wanted to work in. So we would just take yard signs and put them at the front of HOA communities we wanted to work in. And very simple, moving soon with a question mark, phone number. Same thing with Christmas lights. Sign that says Christmas lights with our phone number. And we just put out 100 yard signs in all the areas we wanted to work. Facebook ads, and then networking with the right people. This is literally all we did. My advertising budgets are never huge. It was about 4% for 4 or 5% for each one of those businesses.
Yeah, I don't spend a lot, because if I really ramped up and started spending money on Facebook and whatnot, I wouldn't be able to service those customers. So we do the affiliate marketing concept. But here's what I just noticed: you identified your customer avatar. And most folks don't. They don't really know who their buying customer is. And so you knew the neighborhoods that could afford the Christmas lights, and the ones that could afford a moving company were not going to go to U-Haul and get their own truck and buy their own boxes. So that was something you found clarity in, and I think that's a really big tip there.
Absolutely. When we do ads, we take the little radius and we just pop the 1 or 2 mile radius over the areas that we want to work in instead of doing like a 25-mile radius, because you're capturing a bunch of people that they're not even your customer.
Yeah. The signs really work, because when I got the Christmas lights, and I was the first guy, and they put like 2 signs on my front yard. Then I saw my neighbor had one. Then I go for a walk every day. I end up counting 9.
Wow.
Just walking one way. I don't even know what happens the other way because I don't walk that way. But it's like people have the money. It's kind of an impulse buy a little bit for the lights, but people want it. And then who's going to do it? Because it's not like something you're going to look at the sign, call them, and then say, you know what? I'm going to go get 3 other prices. You're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Did they give you a discount?
They probably did that in 30 other neighborhoods.
Did they offer you any kind of discount on your yard sign to be placed, or did they just place it?
They did. They put something. He asked, "Can I do this? And I'll give you this." I don't even remember what he said. I was like, "Go ahead."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might have given me 25, like 1%. I don't know. He said something. I remember. I just said yes.
So one thing we found is, I know you do Christmas lights, right, Kevin?
I don't. No, I'm just really into it. I'm going to in my new business.
All right, cool. So here's a little tidbit. Everyone wants their Christmas lights on a timer. And so what we would do is it'd be like, hey, we'll throw this timer in for free if you let us put a sign in the yard. Boom. Nice. They say yes every time.
Everybody says yes to that.
I know.
So are you gonna be doing Christmas lights next year, Mike?
Yeah. So this company is called Legacy Lights, and we're doing our main business is going to be outdoor lighting, landscape lighting, and then Christmas lights is just kind of that niche for the end of the year. Yeah.
Cool. What got you into the whole thing? Like, what made you say, "Oh, this is something we're going to start a business up to do"?
So we talk a lot about the power of masterminds, right? Like, so I have a buddy who he has a franchise of Shack Shine pressure washing, and he came out to our Moab event. And I think he did 1.2 or 1.3 million last year, and he did 500,000 in Christmas lights.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, you did almost half of your company's revenue in Christmas lights, and he's in Michigan, so their season is like extra short, And I'm like, guess what? We're gonna be doing some Christmas lights.
Yeah, we had a guy on here, Donovan Queensborough. I think he did 600.
Yeah, I know him. I know of him. Yeah.
On Christmas lights, like.
Yeah.
That's insane. I would have never.
I love it.
If I hadn't heard somebody say that, I'd have never even thought you could get that kind of cash flow or that kind of revenue from Christmas lights. And it sounds like it's pretty dang profitable, especially in year 2.
Yeah, it's huge. And then we sell the lights to the customer, so we make money off of selling them the lights and installing it. So next year it's about half. So if they have a $1,000 Christmas light job, the next year it's $500, but everything's already cut to length. We got the schematic of how it goes up. So I mean, it goes up in like an hour or whatever, and $500.
I love it for so many reasons. You're going to get faster at it, so you're going to cut your things down. But I think people are going to do something I said. So I was leaving out the other day. I said to my girlfriend, "So you like the lights?" And she's like, "Yeah." And my son was like, "Yeah, the lights." And I said, "We'll get them next year. What do you want to do?" And she's like, "Next year, let's do this." And like she's adding to it. So I was thinking, next year it'll be like another $400. But I was thinking that's probably what every wife does. Do this, do that. And like all these people are just adding 20% to their bottom
Let's hit
line.
the trees, let's hit the bushes and shrubs. Yeah.
I did that at my house. We did the initial like roof line or whatever. And then I was like, I want to do the peaks. And then we added the pillars, then we added the garage line, and then we did the lining. And it's like, if I was to buy this as a customer, this would be $3,000 probably.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. So tell me about your moving company, because I feel like the moving company is more logistically complicated. You've got, pre-existing damage on people's furniture. There's just a lot more risk that you have to mitigate compared to Christmas lights working on the exterior of a home. So how did that look as a startup, and how does it look as today? And are you still a part of that, or did you sell it?
I sold my shares to that. which they were slowly buying down my shares. So I think I got 2 months left of that. But I'm very connected with them. They come out to like our mastermind events and stuff like that. So that business is interesting because, there's a lot of businesses you can get started in for very cheap. Christmas lights, you need a truck and a ladder and, some basic tools. With a moving company, you need a moving truck. That's really expensive, but you can also rent U-Hauls. So that's what we've been doing is renting U-Hauls, put some signs out. It is challenging because, you're dealing with heavy furniture. You got to have people who can, work really hard. And when you get a job that you can't just stop halfway through a moving job, if a customer needs it, like they need you to move everything that day. Logistically, it is hard. It took us some time to really figure out what the ideal crew was. You got one person packing the truck, one person boxing things up and taping and all that, and another person that's running. So it took a little bit of time to dial that in, but it's needed. It's really profitable. And, there's really easy ways to set yourself apart. I think that's the biggest thing. Like every moving company, they've got you guys show up, they're smoking and they're not on their game. It's like, I look for businesses where it's really easy to set yourself apart and where someone's going to be willing to pay a little bit more money to get something done right.
I like that.
I like
yeah.
that.
What did your team look like for the moving company side? And how are you charging? Are you quoting it as a job? Do you quote it by the room or do you do it by man hour?
Yeah. So like anything small that we didn't want to go out and estimate, we'd quote by the hour. If we knew it was just like an apartment or something like that, we'd be like, yeah, we can have 3 guys come out. It's $180 an hour. And we think this is going to take anywhere from, 3 to 5 hours, something like that. If it was a bigger house where we knew it was going to be more, we'd go out and we would look at everything, open all the cabinets, and then decide at that point if we wanted to do an hourly. But most of the time we do a flat rate move because we knew that if we could work faster, work harder as a team, that there'd be more upside with it. There's also sometimes there was some downside to it, but you usually win.
Absolutely. So here's one of the things, because we got the disaster cleanup company. I know that when we go into a house to pack it out, which we have to do more often than not, it's the worst portion of what we do, in my opinion, is the moving side. Like I wished your company was in my town and I would just pass you all of that opportunity because
it's a good idea.
Well, we have to go in and we have to document, and then you've got this, figurine and the wing is broke off already, or it's already cracked. And then when they get their hands back on it after we've touched it, if we didn't document it sitting in place with the picture. So do y'all have processes of documenting, or are you just like, hey, let's move through here. Let's get it packed. Let's pack it great. And we'll deal with the back end if they try to blame us for something. Like
No, like you bring it up immediately. The homeowners, they're going to be there when you're there. So if you notice a scratch in something, you bring the customer over and you say, hey, just want to let you know there's a scratch in this before. And most of the time they're like, oh yeah, we know about that. And then you wrap it and then you put it away and take pictures and document. And then, one of the things that the ops manager for the company had to really get over was that things are going to break and things, are going to go wrong. And that's just kind of the cost of doing business. The other thing is you can have the customer purchase supplemental insurance to cover them. So it doesn't always fall on your insurance, because your insurance covers per pound, which is stupid. Because if you have a piece of art that's really expensive, it's $1,000. It might only be 2 pounds. And they cover like $10 a pound. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you $20 for this. Or you could purchase supplemental insurance for a couple $100 that will actually cover the value of those things.
So do y'all offer that to the customer, and that's an additional revenue stream?
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
So just partner with some type of insurance agent and include that in your packet. And when you're doing the quote, explain that to them.
I like that.
Good idea, Chris.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I didn't even, that's that's super sharp. Well, so let me ask you this. What is your opinion between because you've done exterior work and you've done interior work with the moving. What's the difference between the two?
I like exterior way better. Just because for your employees and your teams, logistically, it's a little bit easier. Like even in our cleaning company in Pennsylvania, like we did exterior window cleaning and interior window cleaning, and just having to move people's stuff all the time and be super careful about everything. It's just more pressure for our team. So.
And I don't think you make any more money doing the interior work over the exterior work. I mean, if you look at it, my the soft washing folks make just as much money as we do cleaning carpets and upholstery and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we have a lot more risk and liability and concerns. Like if I was only exterior, I could probably utilize some of these halfway houses and whatnot. But because I go on the interior of homes, I have to do background checks, make sure everything's on the up and up before they ever enter in, just because of the liability concerns.
Yep. Yeah. I want to say something that might be a little controversial because you guys have a big audience and there's a lot of different companies in here. But I mean, just for the companies that I've had and the companies of people from our coaching program and going to different mastermind stuff, you start to realize that there are actually better businesses than other businesses.
Absolutely.
Like for a while, I used to think like, oh, they're all the same. They all have the same problems. They do, but I mean, there's definitely even in the service realm, there are top tier service businesses. I mean, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, like there are more millionaires made in those types of businesses than there are in a cleaning company. It's just a fact. So
absolutely.
I think you can do well in either one of those. But
you have to ask yourself that on these type of businesses. Like if you say, do you know anybody who has a roofing business making a lot of money? I'd say, yeah, I know a lot of them.
Yep.
But if you say, do you know any type of, maybe
carpet cleaning? There's very few carpet cleaning companies that are going to be grossing over $1 million.
The answer is no. I agree with that. You have to ask yourself that, because if you don't have that model, then what are you going to try to figure it out on your own? You're going to be the one guy. I mean, I kind of am that guy, because if you look at gutter guys, I'm probably the only guy.
You're that guy.
Yeah. So
you broke the mold, Kevin.
I have a mentor, and he said this to me, and he said, this should make you feel good, not bad. He says, if I took 20 really bright guys and I said, hey, the goal is for each of the first person that gets $1 million wins 10 million. The first person that gets $1 million in their bank. There's 20 of you all have to do everything, but one of you has to do gutter cleaning. Who wants that? And he said the room would be silent. Yeah. Nobody would ever take that. He says, but you did it. So he says, now you should go apply it to other stuff. I remember that was one of his first conversations. But yeah, you have to pick something that other people do.
Yep.
And do well.
Yeah. There's what is it? John Maxwell's book, like Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And then there's the Tony Robbins quote, like, if you ask yourself better questions, you get better answers. So I started asking myself better questions, and I started writing down, if I was going to buy a business, what would I look for? And then I was like, well, I'd look at the average ticket price, because then I can base my marketing off of that and know that if I slay a deal, my upside is going to be more. Then I look at, is there recurring revenue in the business or not? Because if I slay a deal, then I don't have to go out and slay it again. I can just continue to service that. I look at, how easy is it to scale? How easy is it to teach and train? And then I take all of those things, and then I stack the value and look at the profit margins, all those things. And I figure out how many of those puzzle pieces can I put together and create this value. And then you're going to have things that are going to be more challenging. So like in a roofing company, the ticket's high, all that, but it's a little bit harder to train people because you got to learn how to get on roofs, a little bit more dangerous. But then I ask myself, which problem do I want to solve? Do I want to solve the marketing problem of bringing more deals in? Or do I want to solve the training problem of learning how to train people to get up on roofs, things like that? And then I can identify what business and what vehicle I want to be in.
Those are good questions to ask.
Man, yeah.
I did like when I had Gutter King, I wanted to do something more when I was just up Northeast in New Jersey. I wanted to have stuff going on in the summer. I got into roof cleaning, which is like, Mike, probably up there, the algae on the roofs and everything.
Yep.
And I made money for sure. And I did hundreds of houses, but I thought it was going to be this thing where people want to pay like $1,000 to get their roof clean, and it would be simple, or these condo associations. It wasn't. I was constantly explaining to people. I had to like create the market and then tell them what it was. And looking back, like, you do not want to solve that problem. And then I had to solve the problem of like trying to figure out how to do it. It wasn't really on YouTube. 15 years ago. So I agree. You don't want to solve all those problems. Like
Yep.
it's like mental gymnastics. You got to figure out everything.
Yep.
Window cleaning is so simple.
Yep.
And it's very profitable.
Yeah, we did about 150 to 170 grand a year just in window cleaning, and it was so easy. And especially you guys probably have like the water fed pole systems, and it's like, all right, here you go, Jimmy. Here's a pole. Go like this and scrub the window, and then rinse it, and then go to the next window and don't break anything. It's like it's that simple.
And they're gonna call you back next year.
That's right. 6 months. You get them on a twice a year service plan. But I have a cool story about that, because I was just reading this past week, same John Maxwell book, and it was talking about how we try to muscle through things all the time. And I hope that your audience will appreciate this. And there was a guy in the story. He went out to a factory, and the factory was shut down. This machine was shut down. It wasn't working. This dude comes in. He looks at it, walks around, takes a little hammer, taps a bolt, and starts working again. The next day, he sends them an invoice for $1,000, and the manager's furious. He's like, "You were literally there for like 5 minutes, and you tapped the hammer, and you're gonna send me a bill for $1,000? Where do you get off charging me these prices? Like, I need a detailed, itemized list of everything that you did." And he sends him an itemized list: $1 for tapping the hammer, $999 for knowing where to tap. Okay. So like, let's think about that in these blue collar businesses, right? Like, the more specialized that you can be, for example, the more needed it can be, like HVAC company. Dude, if you don't have heat in your house, you have a problem. And guess what? You don't know where to tap. So you can make a lot of money off of the specialty type businesses and things that people don't want to do, instead of trying to muscle through and do all these things and think that you're going to make more money because you're working harder. Like, you can dig a ditch and only make so much money. You could tap a hammer and make $1,000.
Yeah. The higher the barrier of entry, the more you're going to get paid every single time. So when you got to have a license and a decent education on how to do HVAC, now you can get your handyman plumber, but we're talking about a licensed plumber. Your roofer, you're dealing with heights. You need to know how it's not going to leak once you get it installed. All of those are different barrier of entries. Anybody can go to Lowe's and get a squeegee and start cleaning window cleaning. So that's why the price ticket is lower compared to what you're going to be paying for these other specialty items. I know personally, from being in the disaster cleanup company, dealing with water, fire, and mold, I would go after an HVAC and a roofing over a plumbing, because the liability is just higher there. Now, they make great money, but they also deal with shit, literally. Yeah. And I don't like playing in crap. But I love how you found clarity in those questions you asked about what business you're looking to get into, because I think that's what it all boils down to, is having a clear vision of what you want and asking those better questions. And that's why the masterminds are so important, because then you can sit there and pitch ideas to your group. You can say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this." And it's a sounding board, and you're able to, you got a board of directors pretty much that's able to sit there and give you their opinions back. And then you can make qualified decisions.
I think that's so important. And, just having this idea of doing this business. I want to ask you, because you went to college and you kind of had that white collar mentality, right? You're going to go do these things. I've seen this happen so many times. Chris, you've probably seen it, where you just have this idea that you want to do this, and then it's something draws them back to this, and they end up doing really well. But I think that a lot of people, I don't know so much, but when I was coming up, they've definitely looked down on the blue collar thing. And they thought it. I remember I had a girlfriend, and she had like a nothing job to me, but it was white collar. And she would, like, everywhere we went, she would like she would introduce it for like 30 seconds on like everything she's doing. And they were like, "Well, what do you do, Kevin?" I'd like, "I clean gutters, or I cut grass." And she's like, "Stop saying that. It's so embarrassing."
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not trying to tell your cousin what I do. I don't care. It's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I do it in real life. I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
In real life, you're not doing really well. So
totally.
How how did you just have this idea to do it? And I love that your friend was like, just go wash windows and do it. And you said you didn't have an LLC or whatever. And sometimes people ask me, Kev, I'm going to clean gutters. They used to say, what type of CRM do you use? What should I do, LLC or S Corp? And I'm like, just go get 10 houses, do them,
sure.
make money, and come back to me. If you don't get 10 houses, we don't have anything to talk about. Go
Yeah.
get 50 houses.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
made you go do it? Just start.
Yeah. Well, one, I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, like, am I doing what I want to do with my life? And I knew that life would be hard no matter what I did. It was going to be hard to move up the corporate ladder. It's going to be hard to start a business. And then I started asking myself the same questions, like, what problem do I want to solve? So I said that I wanted to solve the problem of working really hard, getting a business off the ground, and then one day I can reap the rewards of that. I know that if I work my way up the corporate ladder, I'm going to still work really hard, and I'm only going to get paid my salary with some stock options. So I would always start with the end in mind and know that it's going to be hard no matter what. I had to literally clean crap out of toilets and, cleaning company and all that. But I knew that that was going to be for a bigger purpose. I knew that if I was working in corporate, I'd be doing it, but then I would just be doing it at a higher level as I worked my way up the corporate ladder. And then, the real short answer was I had a baby on the way and I had no money because I was selling real estate and I was in between closings and I was like, I need to make some freaking money. So I'm just going to go out and knock on some doors. So sometimes those situations they can put you in, we want it to be this perfect thing, but it's not always like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think when you hit your brick walls, that's probably the best opportunity you could have had in life, because that's where real ingenuity and talent comes out, and resourcefulness. So we got a question. How are you finding and retaining your employees at any of these businesses?
Yep. Another fun one. Because I have a mastermind group and people are like, what are you doing to get employees? And or do you have something magical that you're saying on your job ad or anything like that? Well, for the lighting company, as an example, we never posted a job ad or anything like that. It just came through networking. So my business partner, he found one of the guys at his apartment complex that was an electrician that was just like, yeah, I'm retired. I'm looking to pick up some extra work. And they had some beers together and we're hanging out. And he's like, yeah, I'll come hang Christmas lights with you. And then, I was eating dinner and I was at a bar and I saw the dude working really hard. And I was like, dude, you really like bartending? And he's like, it's cool. I do all right. I like that I can work in the evenings and have my days free, but I really want to do something else. I want to, work somewhere else and do something. Like, hey, check this out. You want to hang some Christmas lights? Like just meeting people, and then boom, now we have a team. And then I know that's like a very elementary, like if you're just getting your business started, but sometimes it's the simplest things, like seeing people that work really hard and might fit well, and they just make the offer for them to come out. And then the bigger picture is making an environment where people want to show up every day and they feel valued, they feel like they're a part of the team. That is going to help them retain employees. Help you retain employees. We do the easy stuff, which is like take people to lunch, buy them a Christmas gift. Dude, that's so easy to write a check or give somebody $25 or a gift card. But actually valuing people and listening to them and understanding what makes them tick, making your work environment fun, having a cool brand, having fun in everything that you do, that is going to help you retain employees.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's all true. And that's very difficult. I know for me, I struggle between when do I snap the whip in the air and say, hey, the KPIs are important, and when do I play around? And I think what happens, I've been thinking about this a lot actually the last few days because of some of the stuff that's been happening in my establishment. And I was like, I almost feel like as a business owner, you have to pull all emotions out of it. You got to look at it as factual. You got to know, hey, what are they going to enjoy as an environment, and what is the expectation? For me, because I'm less confrontational, which is weird to be a business owner and be less confrontational, I feel like, but I will let people stay on the wrong side of the edge too long before I confront it. But if I'll take that emotion out and just say, hey, here was the expectation, here's what you're supposed to be doing, and I got clear expectations, then I can sit there and address it before things get wild and the fun still stays in the atmosphere. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle that everybody runs through as a business owner, is just being able to lead their team and still keep the performance.
Everyone needs to read this book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. I read it every year. You have to realize in your business that your business is only going to grow as much as the leader, which is you, of your business can grow. And when you realize that it's not like the stuff that you were talking about, Chris, that's management issues, managing KPIs, talking to your team, getting them to, hit those numbers, all of that. We want to go a step above that and do leadership things. And a leader doesn't really crack the whip necessarily. A leader inspires people and influences them, right? So
Right.
I would just ask better questions of people instead of saying, hey, like, move faster, get this job done. We got to get out of here on time and all that. I would just go to my team and be like, hey guys, you don't want to be here longer than we need to be, right? Like, no, dude, I want to get out of here as quick as possible. Cool. What things can we do as a team to get this job done faster so we can all go home early? Because people only do things when they realize that they should do them. There's a reason for them. So we have to take that goal and inspire our team to make it seem beneficial for them and not like this guy's a jerk and he's cracking the whip and he wants to make more profit on this job.
No, I think that's great.
100%.
Explaining the why is super important. I love that.
Reminding them, they got a hot date that night. Be like, bro, we get out of here sooner, go on a hot date, and then reward them for it. Throw them $20.
Absolutely. I have to check that.
Anytime you say that, or if you feel like, hey, we'll probably be done around 4:50, it gets dark at 5. You say, hey, if we can get done at 4:00, if you tell them this at 11:00, what can we do? Let's set this up so we can get out of here at 4. I'm going to pay everybody till 5. What do we need to do? You'll be out of there at like 3:57.
Totally.
Yep. It happens every time. I used to do it all the time. Or if it's going to rain and you're like, listen, let's knock this out. It's going to rain. You're going to get paid for the full day. All of a sudden, like, everything gets done.
It's new motivation.
Yep.
I saw it happen when I went from hourly to commission.
I love it, Chris. I think that's going to
changes.
Be a big thing for
it
you.
changes the whole model up. I mean, we work more efficiently when we know we're going to get paid a certain rate. It motivates us to move faster because we know our hourly rate has increased when we get done with the job quicker. If it's a flat rate, just like with that moving company where y'all would do flat rates.
Yeah.
What's one of your biggest lessons you've learned out of all of these businesses that you've started and managed that you would tell someone else that was about to start a business?
Yeah, I'm going through it right now, dude. This is relevant advice to myself, but stop priding yourself so much on your work ethic and stop working so damn hard and work smart. Like,
man, that's a good one.
Like we take it as a good thing to be like, oh, we went out, we killed it, we did this, we did that. It's like, yeah, but you were so hands-on, man. Like, you killed it, you did this, you did that. Man, like, empower your team, put systems in place, grow, and experience that freedom instead of always muscling your way through things. Ask yourself better questions.
Me and Kevin were just talking about that a couple of days ago.
You kind of wear it on like a badge of honor, working super hard and everything. And even for me, it became kind of part of my identity for myself.
Yes.
Like, this is what I do. I outwork people. I do all this, but it's really not the way at all. Nobody gives a shit how hard and long you work.
Well, the reality is, like, again, what problem do you want to solve? Ask yourself that question. Because I know a lot of people that work way harder than me. I know a lot of people that work way harder than you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Like, there's people over in these third world countries that get up and they have to carry water for 3 miles just to drink water. Like, we go over to the refrigerator and we put the cup in there and it fills up. Like, don't talk about how you work hard, dude. Like, it's not a flex.
It's not. As hard as I've worked, my brother's blue collar through and through. He actually does the jobs. He works way harder than I have over the years. Yeah. And he's a great guy. He does not have the financially what I have to show for it. Yeah. No, it's not. It's a pointless game to try to do that. You have to work smarter.
Yep.
So what is working smarter?
Okay, well, I'll give you an example, and this ties right into what you guys are doing with War Room, and I want to learn more about that, because working smarter for me is like, okay, so I've done all these startup companies. I did cleaning company, moving, I did a soft wash company in Bluffton, and then I closed it down. It was during the pandemic, whatever. And then I did the sliding company. It's like, okay, cool. Mike, you know how to do startup companies. You can get a company from 0 to $500,000, within a year, 18 months, put hardly any money in. I put $7,500 in to get this lighting company started. The other guy put $7,500 in, boom, like, cool. But that doesn't really move the needle a lot, right? Like, yes, it's going to over time, but it's going to take so long for that thing to move. And then you got to put so much in. You're laying all this foundation work. You're doing all these things. It's like, why don't you just buy businesses that are already cash flowing, improve them, and then the numbers get bigger? Like my mentor who told me to clean windows. The lesson he's always taught me is it's the same principle in every business. There's just more zeros added to it. Yep. So I'm like, I could take these same principles and not work so damn hard if I bought a business that was cash flowing already, and I could take it from $1 million to $3 million instead of 0 to 500K.
Yeah,
that's working smarter.
I agree.
That is very much, and I totally agree with that. If you take I like to do Kevin A and Kevin B, you make a spreadsheet, and you have one guy who starts a business and he spends the next 2 years. Yeah, you could build that to 500 or whatever. And the other one buys one that's already doing 1.4 million. He'll be so much better off. It will not only will he make much more money, he'll have a much better life.
Yeah.
You don't have the same stresses when you go into a business that's already established.
Yeah.
And the failure success rate will be completely different. If you took 100 of those guys, 70 or 80 might fail on the new business. I don't know the statistics on the buying business, but it's not 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. The startups in the 90s, I think it's like 95.
Yeah, that's what Kyle
97%.
said. I mean, I believe it, because if you're buying these things and the debt repayment might be half your net, I mean, you got a lot of room left. If you're buying it with a $350,000 net or something, you're already doing okay.
Yeah. The way I look at it too is like the higher level that you go up, the different challenges that you're going to run into. But if you elevate yourself and your leadership skills and all these things that we've been talking about, the more money you're going to make and the more of an elite class of person or business that you're going to be in. Anyone can go out and start a Christmas light company from scratch, but not everyone's going to be able to go out and buy a company that's doing 1.3 million and know what things to maneuver and how to manage a checkbook that's bringing in 100K a month and all those things. Like, you're automatically eliminating, you're not dealing with all the craziness that you would in a startup because you're already starting on a place that requires you to be like somewhat worth a darn, right? I was just watching a video this morning about how like you can work harder in a certain class, but at some point that class is still that class. Like, you can be the best mechanic in the world and work on Rolls Royces, but you're still a mechanic at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
the great thing about buying the businesses is you don't have to wear all the hats. You've got revenue to hire the bookkeeper, so you don't have to know how to reconcile a bank statement.
So I think this is so true. And here's an advantage of buying business. So for our gutters, I have so many of these associations. I mean, I need to make this happen in this first quarter. They ask about underground drains, like clearing them out. I mean, it's all day, every day. So to start up a drain cleaning company and all these different things, it's not going to happen. We're going to buy a couple. I'm looking at one in Illinois right now, one in Arlington, Virginia. I'll buy those companies that already are making money on their customer base. So like, you step in there, I'll put somebody in place, they're making money, and then we'll just do the commercial side. We'll just plug all our customers in. And then we'll also, once we get that going, we'll use that same database of people who didn't say yes to us in gutters, and we'll go after them for all the underground drain. It's like the synergy of it. But while you're building that, so now I only have to really do one thing, is just go get more market share. Yeah. But their business is already running and making money. But if you start it up yourself, you got to like go start every little thing, go get employees, who's going to manage all these things. It's such an easier way. And and the other part of this is, you know why I went into Kyle's thing, Chris, was because I know I'm going to sell my business, and I wanted to see all the mistakes that people made. You learn nothing more than when you go on Biz Buy Sell and you look and you talk to these brokers in business, you see everything they're doing wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Don't you look at businesses and you're like, why is this guy, he should be doing so many different things. So then you can kind of reverse engineer and say, well, when I sell it, I'm going to have all the answers for these people. And they're going to like, yeah, I want to buy this at an 8x multiple. And that's what Mike Aguilera does. You know, he sets the companies up. So it's like this perfect Christmas package, you know, that anybody would want. And most people have it, you know, they're bringing over a gift in a duffel, you know, in a paper bag, and it looks like shit and nobody wants it.
Yep.
You have to have the presentation. You got to have it look.
Yeah.
Kyle makes videos for his business. I thought that was cool. Have you ever seen him selling his businesses? He's got like cool videos.
Oh, that's cool. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, where people like there's two cameras going and following around. He's telling them about the business. He's walking them through the facility. That looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what type of business are you looking to buy, Mike, if you are?
Yeah. Service businesses, you know, that are around the $1 million range, you know, $1 to $2 million, and try to get them to 4 or 5, you know, pretty quickly. You know, well, go ahead.
What area? Oh, you're in Charleston. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's going to be in the state of South Carolina, you know, with some home field advantage. And I'm really looking in Charleston specifically, just because, you know, again, home field advantage.
So you would take
lighting business into it too.
That's right.
You when you say service businesses, you take any service business, doesn't matter what it is. So blue collar across the board.
Pretty much. Yeah. Take a look at anything. I mean, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun just looking at businesses, and I'm going after off market businesses. So I'm just going to be reaching out to business owners to see, you know, who's retiring. I don't know if people realize, but I think it's 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every single day. And a lot of those people are in these types of trade businesses, and they've been doing things the old school way for so long. And I look at my skill set. I'm really good at marketing. I'm really good at putting teams in place. Like, boom, I could take a business like that, throw some marketing, build out a team and management structure, get everyone compensated on it, maybe kick the, you know, owner or the operator of the business, you know, some type of equity in the company or profit sharing, something like that. Boom.
No, I love that, man. And that's the truth. It's the low hanging fruit. And that's something that I learned going back to what Kevin said. You know, we went to Kyle's, I think, Kevin, what you've been to 2 of Kyle's mastermind meetups. I've been to 1, and we offer the same stuff here in this group that they're doing over there. But there was so much you can learn from each other in collaboration. I mean, Kevin and Kyle talk often on the phone, just going back and forth about how they run their stuff. And I learned that all of these deals, you go on bizbuysell.com, but man, you've got these baby boomers, over 300,000 every year that are retiring. And most of them never sell their business as an asset. They sell only the equipment within their business and walk away with nothing. So why would they not be willing to owner finance their business and have some residual income coming in on their retirement? I mean, it's low hanging fruit. It's the next apartment complex, phase.
The baby boomer thing is, I love the line because it's so true, because I watched a lot of my friends' parents grow up who had businesses, and those businesses went away. I had a friend when I grew up, his dad had like 12 trucks, an electrician business. They lived like an incredible life. They had like a summer house and everything. That business went away. I found out that his dad just sold like the vehicles and like the client list for like pennies on the dollar. It hurts me to hear that. Yeah. I mean, this guy had a killer business, but you know, he made a ton of money. He had like this big property where he had them all in the building. So he owns the building. So he was a multimillionaire. So he just didn't have a plan, an exit plan at all. He could have sold that business. If he sold that for $1 million, it would have been the deal of a lifetime for someone. But he probably sold it for, I think he sold it for under $100,000, all said and done. You know, not counting some vans. It was something crazy, like 3 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon.
one of the guys in our mastermind group, Chris, his dad owned a restoration company in the Bay Area, and they were doing like 15 million a year. I don't know. They had like
That's a
40
big company.
trucks or something crazy. And he ended up getting nothing for it. Like bad partnership with family member, and they pretty much just walked away from it. And it's like you hear those stories all the time. And I mean, same thing. I mean, he did well, while he was in it, and he made millions of dollars. And they got a house, on the beach and stuff like that. So it's not for nothing, but it's like, man, you just let it go.
But that's the thing. They looked at the annual cash flow instead of the business as an asset and treating it like an asset. I mean, this is something that I will be able to sell and get an extra lift on. Yeah, I've got cash flow each year coming from it. The bigger it gets, the more cash flow. But I'm designing it to be able to make it something I don't want to sell, but something that someone highly desires and is willing to pay a premium ticket price for it, because there's not a value add situation. They can do exactly what we're talking about. They can plug in, the systems are there, the cash flow is there. They can take it to a next level with their customer base that they already have. And that's going to be their value add. Let's plug this customer base into this right here. We'll be able to scale very quickly. All we need to do is add the staffing to back up the sales. And here's what I love about business. There's so many different ways to find new revenue streams by vertically integrating. So with us, like I look at the problems that we have in our industry, and one of it is dealing with insurance and the billing process. There's a proprietary software that gets used across insurance company claims called Xactimate. And so what we've done is you find how you can get these estimates approved without having too many line items slashed. And so now we're just going to take that proven method that's just going to be a plug and play. And we've started a thing called Invoice Pros that we're launching this year. We're going to broadcast it nationwide to the other to the other restoration companies. And it's literally us taking our already proven systems and sending that to them for a fee up front, and then a reoccurring monthly fee, so that we can give them the updates as the software changes, because it changes about every 30 days. But the fact that you can look at your current business and find your problems and find a solution to it, your other businesses in that industry are going to have the same thing, and boom, you got another revenue stream without having to add extra work or anything else. It's just a matter of selling.
Yep. You don't have to work hard.
Business is lovely, man. It's real estate and business, but business first. Get the cash flow right, and then dump it into assets.
People love when you bring on a business or new service to their business. They feel like you're taking care of them. You just let them know. It's really easy sell.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They feel the opposite. If you were going and say, "Oh, we're not going to do these things anymore," they wouldn't like that. So you're just adding new things. They're definitely going to go for them.
Mike, tell us about your mastermind that you've got going. Tell us where Legacy Mike came from.
That's right. Yeah. So we have a group called Legacy Entrepreneurs, and our target is pretty much people who are doing 300, 400, 500 grand a year, and they want to get to $1 million. So they in service businesses, everything from carpet cleaning, painting, pressure washing, moving companies, HVAC, whatever it is. And then not only grow their revenue, but to be able to live the life that they want to live. It's like we can work really hard and have $1 million company, but does the company work for us? Are there systems in place? Are we leading? Are we inspiring? And are we taking those things and enriching our lives in the process, that we can help our family, our faith, and our community in a positive way? So it's more than just making money. It's about having a positive life. We have, a recurring mastermind where we have 3 meetings a week, and we help you break through barriers. We have a course, all that kind of stuff. And then we do some really cool retreats. We got one coming up in Chattanooga in February 6th through the 9th. And then kind of our feature trip that we do is in Moab, Utah, where we go out and we ride side by sides in the mountains and mastermind for a couple of days and that kind of thing.
I've heard about the Moab trip. That's a pretty awesome trip, man. You definitely can plan some badass masterminds.
We got for Moab, we got 15,000 square feet. We got one house that's like 11,000 square feet, and another house that's like 4,000, and they're on the same compound with a pool and a hot tub. And we're gonna ride side by sides. It's gonna be sick.
Wow, that's super cool, dude. Put your links to your connections and how to find you in the comments so people
Yeah.
can check you out. And I appreciate the gold that you dropped today. It's always
Yeah, it was good.
fantastic to communicate with other entrepreneurs, and you've brought a different perspective than a lot of our speakers have on these startups.
Thanks.
Definitely you've put the hard work in, so it's time for you to buy a business and do it the easier, smarter way. I believe definitely you've built up and put your due diligence in.
Absolutely. It's time to level up, guys.
That's
time to
right.
do something different.
That's right. All right, Blue Collar Millionaires, we appreciate your time watching. If you got questions, put them in the comments. I'm sure Mike will jump in there and be able to answer any questions you've got.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thanks, Mike.